Hello, everyone. Today we don't have a LOL talk show, but today we have a guest. First, I'll introduce myself. My name is Emil Isakov. I'm a writer and editor for League of Legends Esports Guru. Today we have a guest that's more related to Smite, but I like to bring on guests that are, I guess, more wide in their scope. So not just League of Legends. Like last time we had a manager and a sponsorship expert. So today we're gonna have a coach for our team in Smite. Giannis, first, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Janis. I'm from Germany and I'm a writer for Esports Guru.
And Draylo, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Draylo, I'm the coach for Enemy Esports, and that's about it.
All right, cool. So we'll just get right into it. The first thing I wanted to talk about, just so people, whether they be fans of Smite or any other game, esport, uh, how did you originally get into Smite esports scene?
Oh well, originally I just played a lot of ranked, and eventually got into I want to say mid high diamonds,
Hmm.
and I was a support man, and I would watch like all these big streams of like Wolfie Lasses, and I'd watch like the tournaments that would like go on from weeklies, and I would just say to myself, "Wow, I want to do that. I want to get into the competitive scene. I want to play competitive Smite. Like it just looks like so much fun." And so I decided to make a team with like a bunch of ranked players. And eventually that team got to like around top 3 challenger.
Hmm.
And we were like, we're pretty good, but like breaking into the top 2 is like really hard at the time. And so we we didn't really have a chance of going to LAN or making the pro league at that time. But
Got it.
a-
So sorry,
anyways,
go
that
ahead.
that all got cut short when I got banned for a year for Clallusion, as it's commonly known or popularly known.
Hmm.
And so after that, I decided to just move on to coaching because I've always had like a great macro sense or a great sense for the game and for picks and bans, and so I thought moving on to coaching would be like the perfect fit for me.
All right. So you originally coached for Enemy, was that correct?
Yeah, the original enemy that got into the SPL, yes.
All right. And then you like, so how was that going from Enemy, and then you said you went into Legion. What was the name of the other team?
Legion of Carrots.
Yeah, and then coming back to Enemy, was there any like animosity there, or was it just like really cool, just because like they were
Um,
kind of forced to like they couldn't use you as a coach?
right. I'll just talk a little bit about it. So the original enemy, which is at before like the team I coached, like before it got sponsored by enemy, it was called Busters. It
Hmm.
was made up of the team of like Walrus, Sakti, Bronx Bombers, a couple other people, Soul Shiner, Awesome the Max. These guys are like all my friends, and we hung out at the same team speak, and so like I knew them and I helped them out and I coached them. I did their picks and bans, stuff like that. And eventually we went through the qualifiers. We did well. We beat Eager and we qualified for the SPL Pro League and for the Smite Pro League rather. And they couldn't keep me as a coach because of my band status. So after that, I sort of just left and I chilled out for a while. And eventually Vedium, another player who hung out in the same team speak. Team speak is Infants, no collision finals. Moving on. Anyways, um, he recently got into this team called Legion of Carrots, which will become the new enemy. Which is like a completely different roster from the old enemy, so there's no ties between that and that.
Yeah.
And he asked me to help out the team. And so I helped him out, then SPL started. I left because I didn't want to like get them in trouble and I didn't want to have any issues with that. And then when I finally got unbanned around I believe it was October 21st, Vedium came up to me and he was like, "Yo, do you want to coach enemy and go to LAN with us?" And of course I said yes.
All right. So what you wanted to ask a question? Go for it, Giannis.
Yeah, why did you choose to play Smite as a MOBA? So there are a lot of different types and also
Right.
other esports titles.
Like,
Why was it Smite for you? Because I played Smite after LoL and I was like, oh, it's great, but somehow it isn't League, for example.
Okay. I gave League and Dota both a try before I tried trying Smite. And I played them and like around 20 minutes in or so, I just got completely bored. Like I
Okay.
couldn't pay. I just got completely bored of it, dude. Like I couldn't just sit there and keep on like clicking creeps and stuff.
mm-hmm.
With Smite, I feel like I'm actually like in the game. I'm in the action.
Yeah,
It's a lot more like
it's
immersive.
a
I feel like.
perspective that changes.
Right.
Yeah. So like I personally I played all of them, and I like certain things about each one of them. And what I liked about Smite when I played it was the perspective. It was just, I guess I grew up on first person shooters, and even though it's
Right.
not a first person shooter per se, it has like that perspective. So that was very interesting.
It's sort of the same thing for me too, and like I liked how the games were shorter. You fought a lot more. There's a lot more like
Mhm.
fighting action and stuff like that. In League of Legends, there's a lot more farming. It's a lot more like
Yeah, especially early on.
the games go a lot longer, etc., etc. I didn't really like that. I wanted to fight.
Got
I
it.
want to go full smork. I want to go face.
I understand. Let me see. So I saw that you actually are a player on an Xbox One team, XGN.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was a player for XGN. Yes.
oh, okay. So, what are the main differences between Smite on Xbox and PC, like both from a game
Oh
sense
man,
and like a esports sense?
it's funny because for a while the meta was dictated by the fact that like you couldn't hit abilities as often or
Oh, wow.
easily on the controller.
Hmm.
So for a while, healing was like OP.
I
So,
see.
because like the thing about PC is you can just like burst down the hero or just catch the hero lab position and just burst them, and
Hmm.
there goes all their team fight. But like the thing on Xbox is you couldn't really do that because you would just miss like everything.
Okay, I see.
And so for a while, like Guan Yu, who was like 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 a niche pick that you'd pick like maybe like once in every like 10 or 20 games on PC was
Yeah,
like top pick, top ban for like on Xbox. And towards the end, he still was, but for some teams, anyways. But purely because he is a heal, and purely because he is like some of the most unmissable abilities and the most
I see.
unmissable
So,
on Xbox. So like for a while, the meta was just completely dictated on like which characters were easy to play and which characters you can actually hit stuff on the controller.
got it. So they made that much easier now. It's not as big of a problem.
People just got like better, I guess.
Got
Like people just got like they just stopped sucking. And
it.
as like more and more PC players moved on to the console, people are just just better at the game. They started hitting more abilities. They started actually practicing the console and getting better.
Yeah, adapted.
But like I gotta say, dude, like playing on a controller like playing on like Xbox Smite is actually like the worst experience for me ever, man. Like
Really?
yeah, when I first moved over, I'm like, this is gonna be free money. The controller's pretty fun. I like this, but after a week, dude, I was like, God, I hate Xbox One. It wasn't very fun because of that. Like my practice kind of suffered. Like nobody in XGN really practiced. We all hated the controller, man. And so like
Got it.
that combined with the fact that like I couldn't play at the open bracket,
Hmm.
kind of like kind of led to us like tanking at the open bracket. So
Got it. Yeah. It seems really. I feel like it'd be really hard to adapt. Like so similar to like a first person shooter. Like you have to be able to turn quickly and do other things. Be very precise
right.
with your movements.
For a
So
while, we just like straight up outplayed teams with like our macro sense.
got it. Yeah.
Because like we were all mechanically like not very good. Like I think me and Bronx are like the only people who are like had any like decent mechanics on the Xbox, but
Hmm.
mechanically we were not very good. And so like for like the longest time we just like outplayed teams for our macro sense of the game.
Got it. Yeah.
And eventually it got to the point where we're like they couldn't do that and they kind of got like bopped it open bracket because of that and the fact they had to find a replacement 2 days before the tournament because I couldn't play.
Hmm. So besides like the I guess the changes or like the differences in meta between Xbox One and PC, because things were so hard to hit and like heals were really
Right.
strong. Is there anything specifically different between the PC scene in terms of like tournaments of a format, and I'm imagining the console would be behind. What do you think it would
Oh yeah.
take to catch up?
The console, like in terms of like competitive scene, like last year was kind of like how season 0 was for I want to say Smite PC.
Hmm.
There wasn't really like any leagues or anything like that. There wasn't the pro league. There wasn't like the like a sort of an LCS similar type of deal. It
Yeah.
was more like just like these like open bracket tournaments where you just like sign up for and you would like play, and then like the top 4, the top 6 from there would qualify into like to, like a UMG LAN or MLG New Orleans. Later in the year though, they released the MLG Pro League, which I guess was like sort of like similar to the SPL like fall split,
Hmm.
but it still didn't really feel like a league. It still didn't really feel like a league because like I don't know, it was kind of like a like a low budget SPL.
Hmm.
It still wasn't like LCS or SPL or anything like that. But
All
next
right.
year they just announced the Xbox One Pro League, which is going to be run by Hi-Rez. So I think they're advancing sort of into like early season. I want to say early season 2
Hmm.
in terms of like development. So I think they're catching up.
So is that going to be like a LAN or online event?
That's gonna be like an online an online pro league, kind of like how the Smite Pro League was last year, where like they have like 4 or 5 teams
Hmm.
and they like compete each other like week after week. And
Okay.
like I want to see like the top 2 or the top 3 like advance into like an international LAN where they play against the EU teams and stuff.
Got it. Let's see. Actually, now that you mention it, I noticed that it's mainly North America and Europe in Smite. Do you think there should be other regions, or are there other regions that I'm not like aware of since I'm
There,
not very familiar with Smite?
right. There are definitely other regions. There's Australia, there's China, there's Brazil, there's Latin America. Brazil was actually like played pretty. I want to say like the best out of all the regions.
It was
They didn't
Pain Gaming, right?
do that. Yeah, they didn't do
Okay.
that bad against Epsilon, but they're still really behind. And
Hmm.
it's mainly just because like I feel like they just don't have the population that NA and EU does.
Hmm.
But I feel like China has probably the most potential out of all the regions to get to the point where EU and NA is. The issue is in China, the game's in closed beta and it's a very small population.
I see.
Like you have to pay like an insane amount of money to get a beta key to Smite. Like it's really closed beta, and I really hope the Tencent opens the game up for the Chinese population so we can get another competitive region in Smite. In
Yeah.
terms of like
Sorry, go ahead.
in terms of
I'll let you
like
finish.
Latin America, Brazil, like Australia, I don't like maybe Brazil, but like I don't think any of these regions can really get to the point where they're like competing neck and neck with any.
Hmm. That actually brings up a interesting topic because this is something that was a hot topic in League of Legends. I want to say maybe 2012 about. People didn't think mainly Korea could catch up to the rest of the world, mainly North America and Europe, because those were like the dominant powerhouses. And
Right.
like, I wonder if, let's say, it became popular in China or Korea, if there would be like a competition like there is
Yeah,
in League of Legends. What do you think about that?
I definitely think that could happen. If it catches on if it catches on in Korea and China, they could definitely like become the dominant region and become definitely competitive. Like there's no question about it. Like
Yeah.
oh, but we could be like bowing to the Korean overlords in 3 years. Who knows?
Yeah, because it was actually like top players at the time from North America and Europe. Just actually, I wouldn't say all of them, but some of them would like had a sense of like, oh, they're like so far behind, they're never going to catch up. But really, it's
Right.
you learn from what they learned from what NA and EU already developed, and then they just made it better.
Right. Exactly. They just have so much commitment to.
Yeah, exactly. So since it seems like you know a lot about some of the other esports and kind of how they run. What do you think Smite can take away from other MOBAs, and what do you think they can take away from Smite, both in esports and maybe a game sense too?
Oh God, I have no idea really.
Yeah, it's very open ended.
That's a very open question. I'm not sure. I don't know, man. Like, just go face, dude. I just love going face in Smite. I have the ability to just go like full smork in Smite and just go hog and just run at their buffs.
Hmm.
So I want to see like more face, more going face, more smorking in the other MOBAs.
All right. So, what is your opinion of Heart of the Swarm? Since I'm pretty sure there's no farming in that, so like, you're just fighting
Here's
all
to
the
the
time.
storm.
Yeah, here. Yeah, I don't know why I said Heart of the Swarm. It's the same
Yeah,
acronym.
right.
Blizzard.
I played Heroes of the Storm for like a while actually. I put like I actually was considering going competitive in Heroes of the Storm, but like the game just got way too boring because I feel like the lack of farming, the lack of like like the experience and like individual experience, individual gold,
Like
individual
laning
like
talent.
yeah, laying like I guess is the right word, laying. Like it kind of just made the game boring because like after I feel like after a while you sort of like play it all in Heroes of the Storm
Hmm.
in and like I feel like it takes away like a lot of the individual like carry potential, a lot of the individuality that like makes Smite like like kind of fun and unique. That like I don't know. It's like kind of weird to explain, but I feel like the fact that it has like such a focus on like being team based
Hmm.
and having like team based, it just kind of makes it boring.
I see. Yeah, I think some people really like the constant fighting and the teamwork aspect, but I think there's also like an argument to be made that there is a skill to laning and like
Right,
outplaying your opponent in lane, just getting like a solo kill or something.
right, and like the fact that like I don't know, it's so hard to like carry in that game and really stand out in my opinion in that game.
Mm.
That's kind of like frustrating when You feel like you're doing like you feel like you should be carrying the game, but you're not because it's Heroes of the Storm.
just damn, here's the storm.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. You want to ask the
Okay,
next one? Go for it.
yeah, let's move on to the format of esports. Because on the one hand, you might have league formats like the LCS is,
Or
or on the
SPL.
other one, you have the circuit format, which is more like in CS, where you
Right.
have big tournaments and yeah, everything turns about around this ones. Which one do you prefer? Why? And why
Um,
not the other one?
I haven't really experienced the circuit format or really been on experienced in esport in like the circuit format, so I can't
Mhm.
really like give a like a full like unbiased view. But like I kind of like the league format because like it's really stable and you know what you're gonna be doing in like a
Mhm.
month or two. You know like how like you're gonna be competing in this event. You know you're guaranteed for like like this land if you get like top four in this league. Like I don't know. I feel like I kind of like the stability of the league format, I guess. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm probably a bit biased because I've never experienced what a circuit format would be like.
The main reason I like this question is because before, like, you know, of the LCS and how it's like a league
Right.
format. Uh, Before that, it was mainly a tournament format, a tournament circuit format. And the reason I like that is because every month or a few months, you would have like this tournament where you would have a different storyline. So, for example, something that is um, very well known in the league scene is this event where one of the players, I don't know if you've heard of XPK.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Okay, so like that one event where he just backdoored the Nexus after like a really long back and forth game between the
Right.
rival SK Gaming, and like I like those kind of like storylines that tournaments create, and it's I guess it actually like you said, it doesn't, it's like more chaotic, it's not as stable, but
Right.
in the sense that's what kind of makes it more exciting, at least from a fan perspective, because you don't know who's gonna win. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
maybe Fnatic is gonna just like come back and win this one. The next tournament, they kind of slump a bit and don't do as well, get maybe like third place. That's what I kind of liked about it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, but I don't know if I would like that as like a player or like a
Hmm.
coach because I don't know. It's like you said, it's like really chaotic.
Yeah,
It's not like it's not guaranteed like you're gonna be making like at least this much money or anything like that.
yeah,
It's
unless you have like really good sponsorships or.
right.
All right, let's see. So let's
I,
actually.
And I
Sorry, go
also
ahead.
feel like it's a lot more unattractive for sponsors as well. So like, I feel like the potential amount of money to make, unless you're like CS:GO, is like a lot less.
Hmm. Unless you're like a top team, I imagine like
Right.
getting the attention you need wouldn't be as easy as opposed to like SPL or LCS, where you know you're gonna play that week and every week after
Right.
that. Let's move into actually your experience going into the World Championship. How did you go from placing fifth in the fall season to second at regionals?
Um, like Enemy was always like this really great team, but like we just had some like very like I wouldn't say small, but very like these very easily fixable problems in terms of like when it came to like shot calling, when it came to macro sense, when it came
Hmm.
to like gameplay. I'm not gonna really touch on those because like it's not my business to, and I shouldn't like be telling like teams about
Yeah,
like
of course. You don't want to tell them your
yeah,
weaknesses or anything
right, or
about
like my
your.
past weaknesses and how I fixed them, and
Yeah.
like I'm just not gonna go into that. But
Hmm.
we basically fixed them heading into regionals. I want to say in the last couple of weeks SPL, we got used to adjust, we got used to the roster change, etc., etc. And we after we beat Cog, we took like a week break to catch. So we didn't take a week break. We tried scrimming for a week. We couldn't find any scrims of like any of the teams that are going to regionals. And then the next week we couldn't scrim at all because Saul had to get a assault machine, and I think
Hmm.
another player had finals, so we couldn't really scrim.
Oh wow.
And then for the third week, we got like 3 scrims in. So I want to say going to regionals, we had 3 whole scrims.
Solid.
And the only reason we really like did very well at regionals because again we fixed like a lot of our easily fixable like big problems,
Hmm.
and I feel like I predicted the meta very well.
Oh,
Like I
I see.
predicted that Jean Kui was gonna be. I predicted the like Kepri. I predicted that Kepri was gonna be good. I predicted that like Neath it was gonna be like Soul was a very weak first pick. Neath's a very good like second pick, etc. etc. Like all these other things, and I feel like because we predicted the meta, we were able to go into like these games with like missing out on a lot of practice and being able to do well.
Hmm.
We sort of just got lucky.
So like going into that, like not having as many scrims as you would have wanted, was there any like sense of nervousness or like uncertainty about how
Um,
games would go?
yeah, definitely. Like, a lot of us didn't even expect. Like, some of us, I want to say, I want to say, like 2 or 3 of us didn't even expect to beat TSM.
Hmm.
Like, we were like, a lot of us were like, I want to say, like, a couple of our players were even making plans to jump ship after the event too, because we all thought we were just gonna get like, we didn't all thought, we all thought we weren't like, we might beat TSM, but we're gonna lose that, you know, like,
Hmm.
let's be real. But no, like, we really surprised ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, and then you went on to win second at the World Championship. Like, how did that
Yeah.
feel? Like actually getting to that point?
Leading up to Worlds again, I think we had like, I want to say 6 or 7 scrims against Cloud9 in like a 2 week span. So we
Hmm.
didn't have like, we had barely any fucking practice.
Yeah, yeah.
We couldn't like try running new stuff. We couldn't try to like uh integrate new comps into our team. We couldn't really like try out new picks or anything. So we pretty much just ran what we liked at regionals,
Hmm.
and we kept on going with that. And like, I'm like pretty good at picks and bans, so I was able to get like our comps, or like our wand comps, like every game
Hmm.
for the most part. So like, again, we pretty much just ran what we practiced at regionals and what we played at regionals, and because of like practice, and we did pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, obviously.
Again,
Um.
like, it was a surprise to us so well. Like, a lot of us didn't even expect to beat Fnatic, but
Hmm.
getting second at Worlds was definitely like a nice surprise.
Yeah, it was a good run.
Yeah. And it's something else to note about us is we're like a horrible scrim team. Our scrim record against Paradigm, because we scrimmed when we got there, because we scrimmed like, I want to say like 8 games when we got there.
Hmm.
Our scrim record against Paradigm was like 20% win rate. Like,
Oh wow.
we were getting like smashed by them in scrims.
That must
But
be good for the motivation of the teams.
yeah.
So
So I guess how did you? I don't know. What was the change in mentality from scrims to on stage? Like, I imagine going from 20% to
Right.
getting a second at Worlds. Like, there had to be a
Um,
change there.
Yeah, no, like, I feel like we had to take the game like a lot more seriously. Like, adjust in scrims, he doesn't really communicate as much. He doesn't really say like much at all.
Hmm.
But on stage, he like, his communication is there. Like, he talks a good amount. He talks like, he basically gives the information to Pain that he needs to.
Hmm.
And I feel like we're all more like focused, a lot more like, we're definitely like trying more, I guess,
Yeah.
on stage. Like, in scrims, our scrim atmosphere isn't the best necessarily because of many reasons. So like, a lot of people are like, like get tilted, or get discouraged
Yeah.
from trying, like, and all this, or just like want to get out, So,
Hmm.
but on stage, it's like, none of that's a problem. We're just
Yeah.
completely focused on the game.
Yeah. Some people are just better under pressure, so I can understand.
Right.
So how well did you think you would do going into the World Championship?
I was hoping to not make fit. I was hoping to like at least make top 4.
Okay.
I was kind of like nervous going against like a team like Fnatic, or like a team like Paradigm. And again, we kind of just surprised ourselves. Like, I don't think a lot of us expected to get second.
All right. You wanna go for the next one?
yeah, well, let's move over to the practice philosophy, because yeah, we already touched on this, but
Right.
yeah, how do you train your team? Well, that's like the summary. What do you do to practice in Smite? So like
Uh,
you said you played scrims.
right.
Did you also play ranks, talked after it every game, or just
Yeah.
like collected it?
Definitely, like, after every scrim, we have I want to say like a 5, 10, 15 minute lengthy team talk, usually definitely led by me, about like the problems in that game and how it can adjust into like do differently next game, or like certain picks I liked, certain picks that I didn't like, or what we should do differently in the picks and bans, or things that we should practice more. Just basically like general stuff, normal stuff that you would normally talk about. And outside of scrims, like, I usually encourage teams and players to play in houses, because like, ranked isn't really in the best state right now, because like how matchmaking is and stuff, etc, etc. So like, I try to like encourage the players to play in houses of like other pro players, because it's like the best
Hmm.
thing you can get practice with right now. Just like getting like 10 pro players and just like cycling through like different teams and just doing in houses. But when that's not available, Dude, I just encourage him to snipe Wolfie, man. The Wolfie Q is always a great Q, dude. Snipe the shit out of Wolfie. But yeah, that's about it. And like, I'll tell them what gods. I'll like give them like a sort of like what gods that we need to practice and
Mm-hmm.
in order to run these like certain comps. And I don't know, like that's about it really. Just gotta snipe Wolfie.
Uh,
So
go
I
ahead.
guess you're watching the games live when they play, but do you have any other people watching over it thereafter and coming in with like some tactics that just they see, or do you mainly work with the team alone?
I don't really have like an analyst or like another like support staff member. It's mainly just
Okay.
me. But sometimes I'll watch the like a lot of times I'll watch the games back with like other players, and I'll take them through things and I'll talk to them about like 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 certain plays, certain calls, certain things that need to be discussed, and that's
Okay.
about it really.
All right. Do you
I
guys?
guess
Sorry, go ahead.
I guess I have Wolfie now as my analyst apparently.
I just noticed that on the Esportspedia actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. This is actually a topic that is discussed a lot in the League of Legends community, but the
Right.
use of a sandbox, like a controlled environment where you can like test certain things. So, for example, testing like skill shots, like hitting accurately, and just like doing it over and over and over. Do you guys do any of that kind of stuff?
Like going to jungle practice and like going to like a sandbox practice mode and like hitting stuff against bots.
Yeah, or
Uh,
just yeah, basically.
I mean, not really. We don't really need that type of practice. Or make it like, is I I can't really like comment on this because I haven't played like like Dota where they have that sandbox mode and
Hmm.
really like practice that. But we don't really have any issues with our mechanics, and if we need to practice something, we'll just like play ranked or in houses and practice it there.
Hmm.
But like I don't know, sometimes I'll like practice like sometimes like yeah, sometimes we'll practice like auto attack canceling and stuff like that and like jungle practice and stuff, but usually that stuff's pretty easy on Smite, so if we need to we just do it in ranked or um in houses.
So yeah, it's a pretty big topic in League right now because a lot of people are kind of annoyed that. So you know about summoner spells that you play League of Legends, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like so like a lot of people want to practice, for example, flash over a wall. So that's just basically a blink.
Right, yeah.
And that's like on a 5 minute cooldown. So people are like frustrated that why can't we just have a mode where we can practice that over like a very big wall that's very difficult to do. Instead of just waiting 5 minutes, we can do it instantly. Why don't we have
Right.
things like let's say have like a certain situation we can set up like two. Let's say you have two teams that want to just practice together in a sandbox mode where you have 5 players here, 5 players here around like a certain objective, let's say, and they
Yeah.
want to practice team fights over and over and over with different team compositions. So that's what I see as sandbox mode as like a useful tool.
Well, in that case, that can be certainly useful for Smite. I'm sure that we'd find a way to make it definitely useful.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's just like a huge topic that some people are very, I don't know, at least in League, people are really passionate about it and just like annoyed because it's like, oh, why can't we have this and this? It's kind of
Right.
like an entitlement. I don't know how to say it, but people
Entitlement.
feel entitled to it. It's kind of annoying, but at the same time, I understand where they're coming from.
We kind of have something like that in Smite called jungle practice. You can take two people in there and like just basically just fuck around.
Hmm.
But it's not like a 5v5 mode or anything like that. It's just two people who are on the same team just fighting like fire giant or creeps or jungle
Hmm.
camps or whatever. Just testing like DPS and damage values and stuff like that.
Got it. Have you ever? I guess you already talked about it. VOD review. Do you see it as very useful for
Yeah, oh,
players?
definitely like to watch your own gameplay back and to like criticize your own gameplay is like the greatest thing you do as a player to improve.
Mhm. Do you ever, I guess, look at? So let's say the jungle wants to look at the enemy jungles play. Do they ever have like replays of other people's jungles from, let's say, a match, an SPL, and then they kind of analyze that and their pathing through the jungle and like what they usually do?
I mean, I'll usually just look at like player I usually just watch players' games back and just notice their trends, notice their
Hmm.
I want to say like their
Tendencies.
their tendencies, yeah,
Got it.
and let them know before the game like to so they can adapt to it.
All right. Actually, just a question I just kind of came up with right now. Uh, for someone wanting to get into Smite and become a pro player, let's say they're really good in ranked or whatever, what do you think is their
Right.
best chance, or like what should they do to get onto a team? Or yeah, that's basically the question.
Honestly, just get yourself out there, make a team or join a team with like a bunch of friends, and just play, and just go on from there. Like, there's plenty of gem tourneys, and like there's Challenger Cup, obviously. There's plenty of tournaments that you can just enter to like to just plan and to get better and like practice in. Just like sign up for those tourneys and play, man, and just find teams from there that scrim and just go from there. Like the Smite seems like pretty easy to get in, and like as long as you're good, you'll get on a team, or like people will notice you and they'll put you on a team.
Would you put more weight into, let's say, playing ranked, or more into, let's say, joining amateur teams and playing in amateur tournaments?
Um, hmm. Honestly, like both routes are like all right. Like you have some players who just work their way into the scene, like I don't know, like myself or like Walrus or like whoever. But and then you have some players like Basket who just got picked up from ranked. But like I don't know, I kind of prefer the way of like joining an amateur team and just moving up from there and getting noticed through like competitive games.
All right. Let's see. Do we have any viewer questions, by the way? Giannis, if you can take a
For
look at
now,
this.
there aren't any, but as I said in the chat, you're free to ask. Oh, okay. Do you think joining the Combine is a good way to get noticed in Smite?
Um,
Asks Tony Bravo 15.
for like mid and low tier challenger teams, maybe, but for like I want to say like higher tier challenger and like SPL, no one's gonna watch the combine and be like, I'm gonna pick up this guy, or like, this guy's pretty good. Like, if you're looking to like, if you're like a low tier player who's looking to just like get into like the scene and like find like a low tier and mid tier challenger team, then go for it. But like a lot of like the better or like the good teams aren't gonna pick up players from the combine or even look at the combine. So
All right. Let's see. Let's see. Let's get into the topic of the
Yeah,
most recent replacement. Do you want to ask a question, or?
yeah, well, maybe all overall replacement, because that's kind of what we just talked about in the last question. So often there are changes that are not especially explained. So some teams say, okay, we changed our play because of this, this, and that, and other teams come in and say, we change players, and that's it. What do you say? How do you prefer to do it? What is your personal experience? Because that's a question that Emil will,
okay,
yeah, come up with thereafter.
usually replace a player when like there's a problem, that problem's not like fixable. So you need to go out and find someone else, or you have the opportunity to find someone who's just straight up better. And with the Just, the problem was like the former. His communication was not what we needed from the jungle, and we've tried like over months to fix it, but it was like still a constant problem. It was with like little signs of improvement, and it kind of hurt the team atmosphere a lot because of a weird like scapegoat, whatever. But like basically, we had the opportunity to find someone who is like a lot more vocal, good shot call, and like talk a lot more in that jungle role, and we just took it. Like that's as simple as that. Like
Yeah, just make
Uh,
the team better with changing
right,
it all.
right, like exactly.
All right.
yeah. So like the reason I asked that is because a lot of times fans kind of make assumptions based off of let's say a decision, and oftentimes when there isn't too much information being put out by management or coaches or whatever, they make up their own stories. So I always feel like it's good to get out like what actually happened, and like
Yeah.
this is actually something that's similar to what happened in League of Legends very recently, though it was kind of a more I don't know. I can't draw a comparison because I don't know as much about Smite, but Doublelift, who was like a very well-known player in League of Legends, was with the team for about I want to say
CLG.
yeah, for about 4 years, and
Right.
then when he left or kicked out, depending on who you ask, people kind of were in an uproar, and since there wasn't as much information about like why it was happening, I don't know, people were making their own stories up. So I think it's important to like get the information out since it was like very recent, right?
Right. And for the most part, like a lot of teams like they make these changes for good reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're like I don't know, like like what happened with like Coast and their roster and like the Pro League, the ESEA Pro League, like the guy just completely scumbag the spot.
Oh,
Usually,
okay.
like these changes happens for good reasons. So
Mhm.
I would just put the I would just keep like I would just give teams the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I think fans sometimes are just like angry because like, especially like with this case, you guys just won second at Worlds, and they're like thinking like, why'd you do this? I liked him as a jungle, or and
Right.
they're confused, I guess.
So, you just said that your jungler also was lagging on shot calling, so we got a question about this. Which role do you think should lead the shot calling? Because of course everybody calls, but which one
Early
should have
game,
this
it should
captain
definitely be the jungler.
position?
The jungler is
Okay.
the one who roams around, has the most information on the map, has the information whether we have mid pressure or like don't have mid pressure to like sort of like force an objective or we need to defend the objective or etc. So the early game, it definitely needs to be the jungler. Like the jungler completely dictates the pace of the early game.
Mhm.
Mid game, when like people start to rotate, team fights start to happen, etc. It could start to be like more of the jungler as the support, but I'd prefer it to be like a sort of a mix of the two.
Mhm.
Like I want to say like every role giving like the one of the two shot callers like information, then those two shot callers collecting that information and making calls like based on like the information they're receiving. But like late game, like when it transitions like pure late game, it could be just about anybody.
Yeah. The way I see a lot of people doing it, and the way I think it should be done, just optimally. Obviously, it depends on like personalities within the team, if someone's a leader or not. But support, at least in League of Legends, oftentimes I feel like the jungler should do it because of the reasons you said. He has the most freedom to move around the map. He can focus on looking at other lanes and what he can do, depending on like what players are telling him, like what kind of information. And also, I support. It's like a very heavy roaming meta, so oftentimes those are the two players that move around the map. Uh, but at the end, like you said, I feel like it should be, I don't know, someone who is, let's say, strong at the time. Do you think
Yeah.
that's like the right way to do it? Where, like, let's say someone is very strong, maybe has 3 kills on his opponent, and can kind of control the
I
pace
feel
of the
like the
game.
problem with that is say you have a solo laner who's like level 20 and their solo lane is like level 16 and he's calling fights.
Hmm.
Like the team's not like as ahead as him. Like he's the only person that's really ahead in that team. Like
Hmm.
he can also fall in the mistake of like making calls where like making greedy calls where it feels like it's good because like from his perspective, like he's really ahead and can get away with everything, but like his team cannot do
Yeah,
that. So like I feel
too
like he can fall
aggressive.
into the trap where you can get like too aggressive and too greedy and like stuff like
Hmm.
that. But I feel like you should just find like a stable, consistent like shot, like a sort of like setup for your like your shot calling, your communication. Just roll with it. Like don't change things like
Yeah,
each game. Just go like the same like the same thing or similar thing like each game.
that makes sense. Stay
And
consistent.
also like don't be afraid to like have like one person be designated the shot caller and just listen to him. Like everyone should be contributing. Everyone should be like talking and like no one should be afraid to make
Yeah.
calls. Like that's the most like healthy and best environment for
Hmm.
a team in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course, everybody has another look on the situation, and yeah,
Right.
if you have more people that look over it and not just running
Yeah, when you have more
in
people like
it,
feeding information to everybody,
yeah.
you can make the best calls.
Okay, what are you looking forward for the new season? So, which changes do you want to see? Which are not so good
Um,
for you?
I'm excited that they're nerfing tanks. I'm excited to see how the meta reacts to that and what they're gonna do. I haven't seen any of the balance changes or anything. They just showed the mini map of the new map. And like some of the changes, like like there's like roaming speed buff things in the fire giant and all this other shit. I mean, it certainly looks like weird and different, and I'm just excited to play it when the PTS comes out.
So what do you feel like? How do you feel about those types of changes where it kind of changes the meta? I don't know if it's drastically this time around, but
It's
oftentimes,
drastic.
okay.
They're changing up a lot of things.
How do you feel about that? Do you think it's good for the game, like just to continue making it more exciting, or do you think it's kind of too chaotic and?
Honestly, I can't really like judge until like the final PTS comes out and I
Mhm.
really like get it in my hands and I play it. But hell, I'm really excited that Smite's changing. I think that's like one of the like I always like I don't know. I don't really look at changes like bad unless it's something that's like just horrible for the
Mhm.
game. But like I don't know. Like basically, I'm just gonna wait to judge it.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna wait to play it.
no reason to make a judgment before you have all the information.
Right, exactly.
Do we have any more viewer questions?
Do we have for now? Not. We just talked about the situations of shot calling in the chat, and yeah, one said that it might be there might be ADCs as shot callers. I guess this comes up with the theory that shot callers should be the initiators doing most of the damage. I also see this in league teams. The ADC who does the most damage calls because he knows how much damage he can do for now.
All right. Um, if you're like, I don't know, like a lot of the good supports and like a lot of just like the good supports like know how much like damage their ADC and their mid can do, and plus like the ADC and the mid can also just relay that information to like the support. Like, hey, I'm gonna do a shit ton of damage to this guy. Don't be afraid to go on him 'cause he's tanky. Or hey, I'm gonna burn this guy. Don't be afraid to go on him. You know, like they can relay that information to the support or the shot caller, and the shot caller can then adjust that information to make the correct call. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be the person who does damage. Like, I don't know. All right. I don't know. And Smite is like a little bit different, I guess.
I think you're onto something though. I think you're right in the sense that so one of the best examples in League of Legends for North America at least was Cloud9.
Right.
They had a really good shot caller, probably the best in the West. Yeah, high. And even though, let's say, you would have players that would like do a lot of damage, or like the jungler might be in a position to do like a better job in the role, just like his personality, like you have to have a certain personality and like the decisiveness to make a call when you need it right there, because the difference can between maybe like a second and you miss an opportunity just because someone was out of position, or you could get an objective really quickly. So things like that I think are very important when you look at a shot caller.
You certainly can't have hesitation. And the shot caller needs like the person making the call needs to be someone that you can trust. You need to trust your teammates and have like full confidence in them.
Yeah, and going along with that, I used to be. It was like more of like an amateur scene, but I used to be kind of like a shot caller for a first-person shooter game, Left 4 Dead. I don't know if people know about it, but and I noticed when first you have to be decisive, but also your team has to be like, even in the worst possible situation. Let's say you guys just lost a huge team fight and people are just quiet. That is like the worst thing. Like, you need to have teammates also that just kind of
keep it morale.
Yeah, keep the morale up, keep talking, just give information. Don't get into this kind of mentality where the game's lost because there's always a chance that you can come back and maybe make a mistake.
Usually that's not like a big problem when it comes to like, the higher levels of like Smite, but that's definitely like something you gotta do. You gotta always keep up morale. You always gotta keep up everyone talking, giving information, because like you're not gonna come back from behind if you're like just sitting there moping and like feeling sorry for yourself. You gotta keep your head in the game and keep with it.
Very true.
Okay, in addition to the questions of shot calling, how do you prefer to the pick order? Is it depending on the situation of which comp do you want to play, or just like solo encounter?
Choosing first pick or second pick, it really is dependent on the team. Like against Paradigm, for example, I had a really good first pick strategy against them because they were so scared of one of our picks. So it made like first pick very easy, very easy to like ban throwaways against them and get a free say like a free Bologna or Shington against them. But like, I don't know, for like the most part, I like first pick compared to the second pick, because I feel like first pick you're a lot more in control of the draft. In the very first part of the draft, you're a lot more in control of the bans. You can sort of isolate. It's a lot easier to isolate, like I want to say, like a Bologna pick or an Athena pick. Just first pick it, but I don't know. Like either or are great for me. Like I don't really have any trouble with any like either of the sides. So I don't know. Now I think it's once you get to the point where in terms of like picks and bans, and basically like either sides are easy.
Okay.
So, have you ever had a situation where in the meta there were, let's say, 3 really strong champions, like OP champions?
Right. Yeah. Sure.
And I know oftentimes people try to ban it away because they don't want the other team to first pick it if they're a second pick, obviously. Have you ever been in a situation where you let all 3 go and you just let them have an OP pick to have the other 2? That's something I feel like is undervalued, at least in League of Legends and in other MOBAs that I've seen.
Well, a lot of teams and a lot of, like I guess I do that unconsciously, or like that's just something you like do when you're second pick. You just like leave a certain amount of picks open, or leave a trade open for first pick that you think is very very good. Like when I was second pick at Worlds, like one of my favorite things to do was just I guess I can talk about this now because the meta
Mhm.
is changing. It doesn't really matter, but one of my favorite things to do would just leave like Soul open and just picking like a priority pick then underneath,
Mhm.
because I feel like that trade is very good for us. And it was very good for us at regionals. Like if you watch the TSM games, we did that every game and won the draft off it. Like it just yeah, I guess to answer your point, yes.
Do you are you ever worried that someone would like? I guess we'll use the example of at Worlds. Were you ever worried that someone would pick up on stuff like that and kind of just like completely counter it,
I mean,
or would you always have a backup?
not really. Like I'm very like smart and reactive when and like very creative and reactive when it comes to picks and bans. So like if someone pulled out like a new strategy, I would have a reaction to it, like a proper reaction to it. So
See.
Okay, what do you think makes the gods overpowered, and do you think that, of course, maybe there are any gods overpowered like in League? There are often some balancing problems coming out.
um, in terms of like gods that are overpowered, like say if you're old Shington, you can just walk at people and just like literally like 1v4, 1v5 and get away with it. Like that's kind of like not fun. Or if you're like old Bologna where you have the most bloat kit ever and you can just walk at people, it's kind of not very fun. But like I don't know, and the god's just really fucking good. I guess that's what makes them OP
Yeah.
when they have like a really bloated kit. But right now in like Smite, I feel like they're very like strong picks and close to OP picks. But I feel like unlike the picks like the OP picks of the past, you can there are like viable ways of like forming strategies against these picks and forming like proper strategies and and picking proper comps against these picks. I feel like haven't really been explored yet. Like, I kind of wanted to do like a something like this leading up to Worlds, but because of our lack of practice, I didn't get really a chance to experiment with like a lot of this. But I don't really feel like there's nothing like necessarily like OP or like overpowered that like if you get this pick in a game, you win the game automatically. But I feel like there's certainly strong picks like a Shingten or like say like a Capri or Bologna or like that are like really strong. But I wouldn't say they're OP. I feel like they're counterable.
Hmm. One way I try to measure like joke. This is a joke that I make that one way you can measure if someone's OP is if they're way too fun.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with like some of the champions that or some of the gods that come out in like certain games. It's just like this guy can do a lot of things. It's fun, but I feel like I'm cheating. Let's see. Go
So,
ahead.
what do you do as a coach other than just pick and ban strategies? Is another viewer question.
Obviously, picks and bans are like my favorite thing to do. You know, I'm really
Yeah,
good at those. But
of course.
other than that, I do VOD review. I'll get a couple. I'll get like a
Yeah,
player or two like that wants to watch the games back. I mean, I'll do VOD review with them. I'll go through like their mistakes and like just again discuss points of interest and discuss things that need to be like discussed. Um, I'll watch games back and I'll give them like detailed pages and notes. I want to say like on average like 2 to 6 pages. Six if they really fucked up and it was a really long game. Two if it was like a pretty short game or it was a long winning game that didn't really need that much to be addressed. But I'll give them like pages of notes in which they can take and just read or just read along as they go through the games and just sort of discuss with themselves about like some of the points of interest or like things that need to be discussed about the game and do that by themselves. But so yeah, I do notes. I do VOD reviews on the players. I have after each scrim, I'll talk to them about like sort of what went wrong, what went right, the certain picks that I liked or I didn't like, certain picks and bans that certain picks and ban strategies that need to be like adjusted in the scrims, and I'll talk to them about that for like 10 to 15 minutes. I do a lot of research on other teams, like I do a research on their picks and bans, what they like, what they prefer, and what they
yeah.
don't like, what they like against certain comps and what they don't like against certain comps, based on what they pick and ban and what they third ban, etc., etc. And I'll do research on like some players' tendencies. Like I found that like through ranked and like some of the games before our games against Paradigm, that Trickstan kind of likes to flank mid to force fights that way, and adapting likes to level 4 gank up alone a lot with Thor and stuff like that. Just like like player tendencies that like they like to do against like certain picks or like they like to do when they like to like force a fight or initiate a fight. So I do like quite a bit of research on that, and whew, I also like try to talk to like everybody and like make sure like everything's going like all right in their like real life, and things are going all right, and their mental health is healthy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I like to keep up with them, make sure they're okay, make sure everything's fine,
That's
make
really
sure
good.
nothing's going on that's like impacting their play or not, stuff like that. I
Uh,
also like to make sure they're keeping up on practice and keeping up on like playing Smite, so they don't suck.
it's important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can't think of anything else, but yeah, I guess that's about it.
I guess I'll piggyback off of that question. Have you had to kind of change your coaching style depending on which player you talk with? Because I know different people have
Oh yeah,
different
yeah, definitely.
learning patterns.
A lot of people they don't really have like their confidence can be like easily broken down. It's like you need to try to build them up. You need to encourage them a lot and be more like be more sensitive to like their emotions.
Hmm.
And like other people, you can straight up just tell them they suck dick, and they'll like work on they'll work as hard they
Yeah,
can
they
to
don't
improve.
take it to heart.
Right? They don't take it hard. They will try to not suck dick, basically.
Yes.
Like they won't be their feelings won't be hurt if I like say it to them, or if I like go like pretty hard on them about a game.
Hmm.
So yeah, you need to approach like different players differently. Like everyone's like a different person. Everyone's their own person, and like they react like differently to like to everything that you do. So you need to like consider that when you're working with the team.
Mm.
So we got another question. Gemena 86 thing feels like a lot of majors are good, but they're just a few picks in the mid lane. So why do you think is it like this?
Um, some pictures better than others. Like
Yeah.
some pictures good and some are not. I want to say like a Nuwa is a very niche pick. You'd pick against like very certain comps and where you don't have like certain mids available. But a pick like a Zhong for us or an Agni can go for a lot of comps, for a lot of comps.
Hmm.
And also there's certain picks that are like just like I don't know, like mid pressure is like really good. So it's hard to explain, but like basically like if the mid picks are limited, it's because the team either likes those picks and wants to stick with those picks. Those picks work with other comps. Or those picks are just like complete shit. Or those picks that aren't B pick are just complete shit. I feel like it's more of the former right now.
Uh, to kind of answer that question, I don't know if it's the same in Smite, but I feel like this is kind of true for League of Legends and Dota. Oftentimes, you see mid picks, no matter what meta it is, they need wave clear and they need to have control of the lane. Just
Right.
because the mid lane is just such an important portion of the map. You lose mid, you lose control of the jungle, and things just
Yeah, like
become way more difficult that way.
the game is completely like mid centered right now for like at least the early game. Like you can't do anything without mid pressure. But yeah, go on. Like what was your question?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that do you think wave clear is the most important thing, or do you think what do you think is the most important thing when you look at a kit for a champion, or sorry, a god?
For like a
And
mid lane champion,
yeah.
wave clear is definitely important because like again the early pressure in the game allows you like when you have mid pressure it opens up like the entire map. Like you can go for like a solo invade or like a red invade or a speed invade
Mhm.
in the early mid game. Like it just completely opens up the map for like so many opportunities to press your advantage or to press your lead and to rotate onto like a side lane and a gank, or to rotate onto like a onto like a someone like a support who's warding out position,
Mhm.
like it completely opens up the game to like so many possibilities. But like if that character's kit is like if like taking a loss in early wave clear and pressure is worth it in like mid game team fights and late game team fights, then like it's still definitely worth it. Like if you look at our games, for example, we play like a lot of gods that like don't have very much like early pressure. Like I want to say like Agni or Zhongkui, and we just like we try to play for mid game, and we think that's like the best way to do it. We think it's worth, like
Mhm.
it really depends on like what you want to do in like in a certain game and
What do
what
you
you
want
want to do
your
against the
team
other team,
comp?
right? Like what you want your team comp to do.
Mhm. See, I think that's something that's very, at least in my experience with other MOBAs, that's very unexplored. Oftentimes, people focus too hard on, let's say, meta picks, even though they are stronger in almost like most scenarios. They kind of forget that other gods in this case have their very niche role and are very good at doing specific things. So you can make a team comp around that. But have you seen like that's like unexplored for the most part? Or do you think like the way people pick is for the most part correct, just because
I
they're
feel like
so
the way people
strong?
pick now are definitely like I feel like the way people pick now is pretty much like entirely like team comp dependent.
Mhm.
Like you don't really see like people just like picking random shit at Worlds. Like people mainly just pick stuff that goes along with the team comp and goes along with the whole idea of what their team comp wants to be.
Mhm.
Oh, an example of like of a team not picking towards their comp was like I want to say the game against Paradigm where they picked Thanatos against our Capri.
Mhm.
When they picked Thanatos, the entire team, like all their lanes didn't really have pressure in any of the lanes. Like there's no way they're gonna get mid pressure. There's no way they're gonna get duo pressure since they had Bacchus. Their solo lane, I believe we had like I can't remember where solo lane it was, but it doesn't really matter. Solo lane, like we had Soul Machine, they're not gonna get pressure against that. I believe they had like blown on Osiris. And so like none of their lanes were gonna have pressure inherently from their like 2v2s or 1v1s.
Mhm.
But they picked Thanatos, who's an extremely early game god, and who wins by like getting an early lead and snowballing the game and then just farming the Kepri.
Mhm.
They picked the Thanatos because like again, like the thing it's a counter to Kepri, but they didn't really do anything with it because they're like early comp. Or
I see.
because their comp was had like no early game or like no early
Yeah,
pressure.
he
So
couldn't piggyback
this
off of any of the
right.
lanes.
So it was sort of just like a misplaced pick, and it ended up like kind of making their comp a bit weird.
Got it. Let's see.
So
Go for it.
yeah, here's another question about the meter and why there were not special compositions, because it looked like there would be a lot of heal potential about
Right.
everything. So, like, why were there no heal compositions in the worlds to see, and were you surprised there were not, or was it just out countered?
I want to say like mid fall split, like healers are kind of popular and considered OP, but as time went on, people started letting hell through in scrims, letting all these like letting like there's no like multiple healers. The only healer that was a problem was like fucking hell, and so like hell and like I guess maybe Sylvanas, but like that's not like really. I'm just gonna focus on hell. People started like letting hell through in scrims and started actually like playing against hell and like forming like strategies against hell, and then people started to realize, hey, hell's not that good. But it didn't really matter because by that time, like Hell got nerfed, like a huge nerf, a 30% like scaling decrease on her 3, and a 2-second cooldown increase on her 3. So she kind of got fucking gutted. So when Worlds and Regionals came around, like Hell's just, not Regionals, this was after Regionals, rather Worlds when came around, like Hell's kind of just shit because of the nerfs and people like started like learn to play against her and I want to say like niche healers like Guan and Sylvanas saw play, but like these are healers that you'd pick against like certain teams and certain comps as like a niche counter pick. Like Guan, for example, is a really good pick against Shingten because like Guan heals the wave, and makes it really hard for Shingten to clear the wave, and also it has like knockup immunity and is clear. So Shingten can't knock up his clear like he can't like a Bolona interrupt the clear, and just sort of like out pushes, out sustains, and just out lanes the Shingten, and can just out rotate the Shingten to like every fight. So like you'll see like niche counter picks like that, but all in all, like healers just aren't in a very good spot right now. They're just not very good.
What do you think would need to be changed for them to be in like a more balanced state?
I think they're pretty balanced like now. Like I don't really think healers should become like the norm. I think they should be like niche picks that you think they're like good against poke comps or like good in a certain lane against like Wandered versus Shingten or like say like the enemy team has like a lot of poke and you pick Sylvanas against that to mitigate the poke. Like I think that's fine.
I don't know if this is a meme, but someone asked, "What did he do? What did you do to lose your PhD?" I'm so confused.
Oh, it's my name used to be Doctor though, not Draylo.
Oh, okay.
I never actually had a PhD. It was never a doctor. It was always Draylo, but I changed it
Oh,
because like
why?
people kept on saying that it was like Doctor though, so
I
I just
see.
changed it to like the correct pronunciation.
Got it. All right.
So, with season 3 starting, when do you think you will replace Adjust in the jungle, or what is the timetable that you have?
We have a replacement, but I can't announce it yet. So
Ah, come on,
no,
make an
No,
announcement
no.
now. It goes
no,
like,
can't.
okay,
Cannot.
all right.
Sorry to say, but I can't announce it yet. You'll find out in a couple of days, I assume.
All right.
Alright, okay.
Are there anything other topics that you want to talk about specifically? Like maybe I don't know, the next season. What are you thinking?
We're excited to fuck next season.
That's a good attitude to have.
Yeah.
What are your goals in the next season? What do you want to place? Obviously first, but
Top 2. Like I wouldn't settle
Okay.
for anything less than top 2.
Okay.
Hell, top 1. Like
Top 1.
I think we can beat every team out there, and I think the only team that's even gonna give us trouble is maybe like C9. But I think we're very confident heading into season 2.
Yeah.
We're definitely very confident.
I think that that mentality is, very important. I know some people that are very well-known personalities in the League of Legends scene. I'm not going to name specifics because I don't want to do that, but they feel as if even if you don't have a chance, like this is just a general statement, even if you don't have a chance to win a season, like you should still have that confidence that you can still have, like, I'm wording this
Yeah.
incorrectly. You still have that confidence that you might be able to do it. You can do it if you do the correct things. You fix certain mistakes. And this, I don't know, this personality actually doesn't think that's a good idea. You should be realistic. When I feel like you should be realistic in a certain context, meaning that if you fix certain mistakes, you have a chance to win. Because otherwise, what are you doing? Like, what is the point in playing?
I think having confidence is definitely important. Because again, like actually like convincing yourself that you're gonna believe to win is like really good for like your like mentality. It's like called like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like sometimes you also gotta be realistic with yourself. So you also gotta like be willing to like go through your games and fix your mistakes and be able to work at it. So you can't just like have this false confidence being like, we're fine, we're gonna go in there and fuck, then just get completely like wiped, like or complete mops. It's sort of like a mix of both, but I think confidence is definitely like really fucking important. Like if we weren't so like confident going to regionals, or at least like some of our players were like confident going to regionals, I don't think we would have done as well.
Someone, Gamana86 asks, what is Wolfie's role with the team? Someone said analyst, but like you said before, is that the truth?
Well,
I don't know.
plot
We haven't
twist,
really
he's the
started
new
scrimming
jungler.
yet. Yeah, there it is. Me Wolfie, dude, the new jungle. That's what it is, man.
We
You
all
found
knew
me
it.
out. You found us out, dude. Fuck, dude. There goes the announcement.
Okay.
It's over.
Okay.
It's
But no,
over.
like, he's like a streamer, and we haven't started scrimming, so I'm not sure about the analyst part, but I think he's like gonna help us out. So I think he's like the analyst as well.
All right, we're on to you.
Yeah, you found me out, dude. Enemy 2032 incoming.
Okay.
Let me see. I think we have one more question.
Well, maybe not.
I'll do kind of like our fun section. This is what I do often with the LOL Talk Show, and it's not meant to be. I guess you can take it seriously, but it's more meant to be fun. Let's go through some like hypotheticals. Like,
Sure.
shoot, gotta word this correctly. What is your bold prediction for the year? Like, and what I mean by that is like, who do you think is gonna, like, what team do you think is gonna come out and like completely surprise people, or what player do you think is gonna completely surprise people?
A lot of teams are like cemented. Like there's like quote unquote roster apocalypse is still happening, and like everything's like still up in the air. So I can't really say like a certain team or a certain player, because like there's so many roster changes that are happening, and there's so many things that are changing that like still aren't certain right now, and I still can't like even talk about them because like it's on my play still. But I think there's gonna be like a big change that a lot of people aren't expecting. That's gonna like really shake the NA scene,
Okay.
or has already shaken it a little. Like, but it's gonna be a definitely like very, very, very unexpected for like a lot of people out there.
You know something no one else does?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Let's make a prediction for. Let's see. what god is going to be extremely OP in this next season?
No fucking clue. I gotta see
And,
the
and you
balance
wouldn't say it
changes.
otherwise.
I gotta see the balance changes. I gotta see the map. I gotta play the game. Like I can't really
Got
make
it.
any judgments right now because
I
they still
for
haven't.
one,
They still haven't even show us the map. They still haven't like show us like how the buffs work and how like everything works. Like
Mhm.
we have no information right now.
Got it. Like, after I asked that question, I was like, wait, why would you even tell us if you knew what the new OP hero
Yeah.
or new god is going to be?
Not so, but
All right. I think that's it, actually. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about, I think we're good.
I think we talked about everything, so I think I'm good.
All right. So this is where we're gonna end our guest talk show,
well,
guys. Oh,
let's
one more
wait a
question.
second.
All right.
Draylo, one question from me. Where do you see yourself in 3 or 5 years? Where will you be? Have
Hopefully
you
in
won the
school.
worlds like 6 times in 3 years, or?
I don't know, man. Like, hopefully by then I'm in school working on my bachelor's and my master's. But I think by then I'm definitely gonna be happy with my experience in Smite.
Okay, that's good.
That's the important thing. All right. If we have no other questions, any other? Let's see, real quick.
Nope. Well, Tony Bravo. Nope.
All right. Yeah, I think we're good. Thanks for joining us, Draylo. Thanks for everyone in the chat for participating and asking questions. And I think that's it. See you guys next time.